Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, so if you guys can hear me, let me know. Put it in the comments so I'll get some idea of how the sound's working. So I don't know if you guys can hear the sound properly. Sound seems to be showing up properly here on my side, but I don't know if it's high or low. Wa alaikum assalam ahad. Okay, so I think you guys can hear. I'm not sure. I assume you can hear. Okay, yeah, is the sound working? Sound coming through? Yeah, working, yeah, alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's have a look at your questions then. Let's see where we got to last time. Okay. So, like I mentioned before, as usual, guys, I'm gonna put the Curious Cat link up. So for those of you guys who want to ask questions, but you don't want your name to come up, that's fine. So I'll put that link up, and what I'll do is, like last week, I think it worked last week, didn't it? Where I do some from Curious Cat, some from the comments. Let me just try to sort this screen timing out. Okay, right. So let's just put Curious Cat link in here for those of you guys. .me//2. Okay, right, so let's start with this then. Alright, so first of all, let me just see if I put it onto Facebook. Is it on there? Yep, it's on. Alright, so let's start with the questions then. Alright, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. What is the proof in the Quran that sajda in the prayer is fard? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Warka'u wasjudu, do ruku and do sajda. If this is referring to the prayer, how do you know that it's referring to the prayer itself? Because sajda tilawa is also mandatory, so why can't it be referring to that? Okay, so this is a good question. Alright, so this is to do with usul, understanding usul. So the Hanafis, when they deal with usul, basically what they do is, usul is understanding you can say, how to deal with the original sources. So Quran, Hadith, sayings of Sahaba, all these kind of things. Like, these are our sources, these are our ingredients. Like, if you imagine I was making a cake or I was making tea. So the ingredients I have, how do I deal with those ingredients? How much of what do I put in, and what do I whisk, and what do I pour, and what do I bake? All of these things requires understanding of principles, usul as we call them. So when we're, for example, like when we're reading the Quran as an usuli, from a perspective of usul fiqh, we understand how do we look at an ayah of the Quran. So sometimes an ayah of the Quran might have a text in there, words in there, which are commands. Sometimes it might have something which is a past verb, a present verb. It might have a word in there which is very categorical in what it means. It might have a word in there which can be interpreted in multiple ways. It might have a word in there which is literal meaning is taken, and sometimes you don't take the literal meaning, you might take another meaning. So all of these things that we have, we're basically kind of trying to understand how would Arabs in the time of the Sahaba, who were living in the era of the Quran, how would they understand it? So this is why usul al-fiqh is very, very important. Like just like Arabic grammar is very important, balagha is important, usul al-fiqh is very important. And this is where we understand. Sometimes you might read a hadith, and as a layperson you might understand one thing from the hadith, but the scholar of usul, the mujtahid, when he looks at the hadith, he understands other things from it. Yeah, and this is because of how he deals with. So this is why the scholars of usul have a principle. What's that principle? That principle basically is that if you have a command in the Quran like usjudu, do sajda, so what we understand from that is doing sajda is necessary. And because Allah has mentioned in other parts of the Quran, aqimus salat, establish prayer, we understand from this that okay, what is necessary in prayer, what are the components that are ultimately necessary? Like what are the components that Allah is directly saying to us, do this? So one is pray. So we know prayer, but prayer is obscure, as in, what does prayer mean? If you ask 100 people who don't know about Islam and you ask them what does prayer mean, they're going to come out with different answers. So when we say prayer, what we kind of basically are referring to is what Allah says in the Quran. So Allah says in the Quran, do sajda, do ruku, recite, faqra'u ma tayassara min al-Quran, do takbir, etc. And because the Prophet ﷺ has explained this, we understand these are the integral parts, and there's 6 of them in Salat. Integral. As long as you've done this, you have done what the Quran has said, basically. And then the rest of it is filled in with the practice of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is why we say that the sajda, because Allah categorically says a command of sajda, that's why sajda in Salat is necessary. Usjudu, irka'u, warka'u ma'ar raki'een, ya Maryam uqnuti wasjudi, all these kind of commands that are mentioned in the Quran. So we say, because Allah is speaking to us, those components in Salat which Allah is directly giving us a command, we take that as being necessary. So this is why we say that the sajda is necessary. And because like it's same in wudu as well. So for instance, like in wudu, when Allah says, when you get up for prayer, wash your face, wash your arms, wipe your head, wash your feet. Because Allah has said these 4 things, the Hanafis say that these 4 things are necessary. These are like direct instructions from Allah for us to do so. So that's the first part. The second part is, how do we know that this does not refer to sajda tilawa and those kind of things? Simply because sajda tilawa, this is something which the Hanafis don't consider to be fard. They don't consider it to be obligatory. They consider it to be of a lower level. We call this wajib. Now, because there's lots of terms and there's lots of background information that I have to give, I don't want to go too deep into it. But what I would suggest to the person asking this question, you need to study usul fiqh. And I have a course which is 28 lessons course, which you can register for, and it's explained in English. And I go through how Hanafis deal with usul, and pretty much I think most people will be able to understand. You should have an understanding of Arabic before you study it, but if you don't, I mean, you'll have a good understanding of how experts they deal with these sources. Okay, that's one question there. I'll answer one of the questions in the comments now. So Ma'had Mania's comment, Jumu'ah khutbah, can there be an English sermon before the Arabic khutbah, or can you mix English with Arabic in the khutbah? So this is another question which a lot of people they ask, which is the Jumu'ah khutbah that takes place, what language should this be done in? So Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah opinion was that it does not have to be done in Arabic. That was his opinion. Some say that he retracted this opinion, some say he didn't, but he said it can be done in any language. Other scholars, they said no, it has to be done in Arabic. So Hanafis have a dispute here, that what language must the khutbah be done in? So Abu Hanifa rahimahullah's argument is, look, that Allah in the Quran, He says, فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, hasten towards the remembrance of Allah. And Allah calls the khutbah remembrance of Allah. He doesn't call it khutbah. So therefore, what that seems to show is that the point of the khutbah is to remind people. And therefore, if it's done in their local language, that's the whole point of the khutbah, it's a reminder. Whereas other scholars, they say, because the Prophet ﷺ always done it in Arabic, that shows that its importance, just like salat. And because Jumu'ah khutbah is, according to some scholars, not Hanafis, but some scholars, is khutbah is considered to be a kind of part of the salat. And salat has to be read in Arabic, so therefore the khutbah. So you have this kind of like a difference of opinion over the years where people have. Mufti Taqi Usmani's father, Mufti Shafi, he was on the opinion that it has to be done in Arabic. Whereas other scholars said that it can be done in English, and some have even said as long as there is a mixture where the components of the cornerstones of the khutbah are done in Arabic, like ayats of the Quran, some dua, some khutbah, a little bit of Arabic khutbah, and the rest can be done in local language, that's fine. So, there's this difference of opinion. Should the English be done first? So that's why a lot of masjids in the UK, you'll find, they do like a local khutbah first, like in English or Urdu or Bengali or whatever, and then they'll do the Arabic khutbah afterwards, just to do ihtiyat, you can say, cautiousness in that. Anyway, that's basically the answer to that. Okay, next. Okay, I've heard a lot of people say tampons are haram because it's something that goes into the private parts. Okay, what's the ruling of a woman using tampons? So there is no prohibition of using tampons at all. In fact, in the days of the Sahaba, the woman used to use something called a kursuf, which was like a mini tampon, which was inserted into the opening of the vagina. This was something that they would use, but it didn't penetrate as deep as a tampon would. So this is why tampons are fine to use. Some scholars raise an issue which say that it might damage the hymen if a woman is a virgin, and therefore this might affect prospect of marriage. So cultural issues. So it's got nothing really to do directly with Islam. And some have said that this is a form of resembling masturbation, and it's not a very strong dalil that's presented. So that's why, like I said, it seems to be fine to be able to use such a thing. Okay, Salam Maulana. I had a dream that I was visiting my aunt in Canada, and we were all going out somewhere and decided to stop at the supermarket and buy something. Over there, we run into my aunt's second daughter who was shopping with her husband, and we say salam, and then there's such an amazingly handsome man with a thick black beard standing there, and we say salam, and then I lower my gaze, but he was just so handsome. Is someone coming in my life? I'm not married, from India. So if a woman sees a man in her dream who looks beautiful, this doesn't refer to marriage. Usually what they say, or obviously to get a better understanding, I would have to need to know the person, how old they are, if they've had any problems in their life, all these kind of things to give a more accurate dream interpretation. But from just generally what the scholars say is that if a woman sees like a man in her dream, that representation of that man could be referring to maybe some wealth coming in their life, or maybe some sort of prosperity of some sort, and it could also refer to some tribulations coming in their life as well, as in the form of fitna. Some hardships might come in the person's life. So it all depends upon situation. But I mean, if the dream is seen as good, and I don't know who's living in Canada, what their relationship is, how they are getting on with each other. So all these things have to be taken into consideration. Okay. Are you ready? Love from Pakistan. MashaAllah. Ahlan wa sahlan. Ahl Pakistan. Kya haal hai aap? Theek hai? Okay, MashaAllah. How do we deal with apostasy? I just say that he's a friend, cousin, or even family member. How do you deal with this? Get on with them. If someone leaves Islam, this is not the responsibility of the public. This is the responsibility of the government. So in other words, if someone leaves Islam, this is an issue that does not involve the public. Public do not do anything, right? Public get on with them, they carry on, they work with them. If it's a family member, they live with them. The issue is that if it's in an Islamic country and there are laws which are implemented regarding this, they deal with it. Yeah, so general public wouldn't really have to get involved in this. I want to have the picture of your videos thumbnail. You want to have the picture of your videos thumbnail. Which one? In countries like Pakistan, Nigeria, and Uzbekistan, there are villages in which Muslims live and interaction is the norm between men and women, and neither gender sees interaction as lustful encounters. Do you feel that this shows gender interaction is not fitna as long as modesty is maintained? Yes. I mean, this is how in the days of Sahaba as well. As long as the main thing is, as long as there is this understanding of difference between the two. Like, men should not treat women like men treat men. Yeah, they shouldn't deal with them exactly in the same way. There should be this understanding that, look, a woman should be respected, or a woman should understand that the man's limits should be respected as well. And the interaction should be in such a way that there is a sense of modesty, and that a woman, the way she deals with other women shouldn't be how she deals with other men. And a man shouldn't deal with other women how he would, lower his defenses, or you can say, be very easy and relaxed and around them. Yeah, so there has to be this sense of, you can say, call it segregation if you want. Yeah, and so some societies are a bit more stricter, you can say, and some societies are slightly lenient. So it all differs from place to place. Okay, next. Okay, this was when I asked, if you guys remember, I asked survey of what is the one thing that you regret in your life, and what is the one thing that makes you proud in your life. And a lot of people, mashallah, they responded. Some say, one thing that I'm proud of in my life is in my conscience when I submit my will to Allah. And some people say having taqwa on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, helping and serving community. MashaAllah. Okay, are 4 prophets alive? Hazrat Isa alayhi salam and Idris in the sky, Hazrat Ilyas and Khizr on earth. So Isa alayhi salam, we know this is something that the Quran mentions. As for Idris and Ilyas, there is an ikhtilaf amongst the scholars about that. And Khidr alayhi salam, he, according to majority, wasn't a prophet. And then there's a whole ikhtilaf of whether he's alive or not. So it's really only Isa alayhi salam where there's an agreement amongst the scholars about this. Was camel's urine only prescribed for a specific illness by the Prophet ﷺ? This is yes. So there was an incident in the time of the Prophet ﷺ where some people, they came to Medina, they accepted Islam, they became very ill, their stomachs bloated, their skin turned yellow. And so the Prophet ﷺ said to them, there's some camels outside of Medina, go and drink their milk and their urine. This is a very, very long hadith, as in the discussion regarding there are so many things that have to be discussed. Like, for example, not all the hadith mention urine. Like the Bukhari, it was one version of Bukhari hadith which mentions just milk, that he told them to drink milk. Some of the scholars say that when the Prophet ﷺ told them to drink milk and urine, what he meant was drink milk and use the urine as a ointment on the skin. Some of them said that this was a specific ruling that was for that particular individual or individuals. There's about, about 14 of them. And this is not found anywhere else in the life of the Prophet ﷺ where he ever told anyone to drink urine. Yeah, so this is why many of the scholars have sort of like taken different positions on this. Some of them said camel's urine is fine, and then they extend it to other animals that we can eat, like cows and goats and sheep, that their urine is clean. Like Imam Malik and Imam Muhammad have taken this position, and many of the other scholars have said no, it's not allowed. right? This was something that was abrogated, or this was something that was unique for that situation. Okay, when it comes to women cutting their hair, can they cut it into a style, or can it only be shortened from the back? So there's nothing categorical in the Quran, there's nothing categorical from the Prophet ﷺ that says women cannot cut their hair. That's the first thing. So why do scholars differ in this ruling for? So one group of scholars has taken some evidences from some narrations to show that women have been beautified with hair, and that's one. And secondly, women should not imitate men, just as men should not imitate women. So from this they take women should not cut their hair, basically. So they kind of like derive it, it's inferred, they say. Whereas another group of scholars, they say no. They say there's no evidence for them not allowed to cut their hair. In fact, there is a hadith in Sahih Muslim that Aisha radiallahu anha says that when we used to take our baths, we used to take our hair into a wafra. We used to take our hair into a wafra. And the Arabs, when they say take hair, they usually mean to cut the hair. So they used to cut their hair up to the ears, women, the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. So from that, many of the scholars like the Shafis and Malikis and others, and even some of the Hanafis have said, like Sheikh Abdul Hamid Tahmaz in his book Fiqh al-Hanafi wa fi Thawbi al-Jadid, he says that women are allowed to cut their hair in that level. So and can it be styled? So therefore, if it's something which is considered to be a norm in society and women do it, and it's not being done to entice other opposite gender or stuff like that, and if it's done, like say for example the husband finds it attractive as well for the wife to do it, then it's fine. Yeah, according to that opinion. But like I said, the other opinion is a strict opinion. Generally, you'll find a lot of the Indian subcontinent Hanafis taking the strict opinion, and they'll mention things like the fatwa that women can only cut their hair from fatwa Bazaziyah. They can just trim it, or they can just level it out, and yeah. Okay, let's look at another one. Do some people claim that an apostate should be executed? Where does this come from? Yes, so there are hadith where the Prophet ﷺ says that whoever leaves their faith and leaves the group, leaves the Muslims, then he deserves capital punishment. So this is what the scholars have taken to show that if there is a person in society who has seen Islam and has openly come out and said that he does not believe in Islam and he's against Islam, then this person is causing a nuisance to the society, and this person is going to be treated as though he committed treason, and hence his life can be taken. Abu Hanifa rahimahullah says that this only applies to a man because of the hadith. The hadith mentions person, man. It doesn't mention woman, so you can't do this to a woman. If a woman leaves Islam, you can imprison her, but you can't take her life. Some of the Hanafis have discussed that this is in a situation where there is no need for confusion. In other words, they're living in a society where there is plenty of knowledge out there. There's plenty of ways of a person can clarify the misconceptions. So if there is a society in which there is so much attack on religion and so much support for atheism, and there's so lack of a widespread phenomena of atheism, then this rule, some of the scholars say that this rule would not be implemented. Yeah, especially if there's no Islamic government. Some have even said that this is in the cases of what they call muharaba. In other words, if a person is openly rebelling, causing a problem in the community where he's gaining motivation, he's gaining a momentum, where he's creating a movement of atheism, of leaving Islam. Yeah, so this is what some of them have taken. So this is why it's not a very categorical thing. It's that there are differences of opinion regarding it, especially with changes in time and mentality, and especially thinking about where the person lives as well, living in the West compared to living in in a country where there's not that much sort of like momentum of atheism. Is doing a two-handed salam found in the Sunnah? Yes. So there are narrations which indicate that there is the Prophet ﷺ with Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He held his two hands. Yeah, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says he took my hand and put it between his two hands. However, there is nothing categorical to say that he always used to shake people's hand in that manner with two hands. Yeah, one hand is also proven as well. Both are fine. Two hands and with one hand, both fine. And obviously they're not something which are from the intrinsic part of the religion. It's a greeting, it's a form of meeting someone, so it's not something which is categorically part of the faith. Non-Muslims do it as well. Okay, let's check out one of these then. Allah says, among His signs is your sleep by night and by day. How is sleep a sign from Allah? So, when the Quran, we covered this in Surah Ar-Rum. So, if you watch the reflection of Surah Ar-Rum, I mentioned some things around this as well. When in the Quran Allah says something is a sign, what we fail to understand is many of us don't understand the style of the Quran. We don't understand how the nature, the genre, the way the Quran says things basically. Right? We're not used to that. We take things very literally. We look at things like through a translation. So we're not really getting what Allah is saying. Quran has to be understood with pondering, reflection. So when Allah, for example, says, look at the cow or look at the goat and how milk comes out of it. Yeah. What that is basically kind of showing is Allah is inviting us to take a deep investigation into the concept of how milk is produced. Where did this concept come from? Where does it develop? If you investigate the animal and you look inside the teat of the animal or the udder of the animal, where is this milk produced from? How comes the milk is not there? How is it produced when the animal starts to suckle on the teat of the mother? And likewise, the same thing with, for example, like the sun. The sun is a sign of Allah. The earth is a sign of Allah. The skies. So in other words, there is something else there. There's like layers there Allah wants us to investigate. So Allah is saying to us, this is a sign for you. So sleep is a sign. So how is sleep a sign? So if you were to investigate, nowadays with the advent of internet, you can actually go on YouTube and you can find out all the scientific things you need to know about sleeping. What the amazing things you can find in sleeping. How humans benefit from sleeping. What will happen to humans if they don't sleep. Where did this sleep come from? How does sleep benefit mankind? What happens when a person goes to sleep? So many things you find out and you think to yourself, look, one thing that all of us do, but we don't take it for granted, let's say sleep. Imagine how our lives would have been different without sleep. So this is why sleep itself, it's not sleeping itself, putting your head on the pillow is not a sign of Allah. What's a sign of Allah is the body's ability to be able to shut down its vital, like a computer. The vital parts of the body shut down. The body still functions. The brain still functioning. The blood system still functioning. The breathing still functioning. The body still turning from side to side, just like the people in the cave, Ashab al-Kahf. So there's so many layers of investigation that you have to do, and then you realize all of these things are signs that someone has created. Someone has actively, designed this inside of man. It's not something that's random. Okay. Next, can you list the Arabic books of signs of the last day? Oh yeah, someone asked me this, didn't they? Okay, what I'll do, let me just أشراط الساعة. Yeah, أشراط الساعة. So, كتب. There's two main ones that I look at. Yeah, but there's others as well out there. So, okay. So, generally the Asharatu Sa'a, the signs of the Day of Judgment, you're going to find them in the books of Hadith, some ayats of the Quran, books of Hadith that generally talk about the Asharatu Sa'a. Okay, so here are some names of some books here. Actually, no, not these. Asharatu Sa'a. Okay, these are some modern ones, but there's some classical ones I'm trying to look for. So, okay, what I'll have to do is I'll have to look for it a bit later, because I don't remember the full name from the top of my head. Yeah, I'll have to look at it from the corner from the top of my head, the names. But what I'll do is I'll post it on my what's it, on my Curious Cat. So under that question, I'll post the names, the links of the books, Arabic ones. Yeah, I don't know any English ones. Okay, next. Why is it that the monk knew about the prophecy of the Holy Prophet ﷺ? So this story of the monk, where the Prophet ﷺ, he travelled to when he was young, he travelled with his uncle to Sham, to Jordan, and then they met the monk there, and the monk saw him, and the monk said that he's going to be, a prophet, etc. According to the scholars, they consider this narration to be da'if. Yeah, and some say it's fabricated. So I wouldn't really kind of consider that. But let's, for argument's sake, let's say the narration is authentic. Then how would we explain such a thing? So what we would simply say is that the people of the past, the Jews and the Christians, in their literature, they had in there signs of the last prophet. So signs of the last prophet were mentioned in them, just like we have signs, for example, like of future things, Imam Mahdi, or Isa alayhi salam returning, or Dajjal, etc. Just like that, the signs of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just like the Quran says, يَعْرِفُونَهُ كَمَا يَعْرِفُونَ أَبْنَاءَهُم. They recognize the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam just as they recognize their own children. That's how, like, if you saw your child in a park of 100 children, you can recognize your child instantaneously if he was in front of you. Instantly. That's how they recognize the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a prophet. So that means that they had some prior knowledge to this, some prior information was given to them, and that's why they they knew it. Okay. Is it sunnah to cover one's head when relieving oneself? No. They just consider it to be an adab, some sort of etiquette, like because this is what I kind of understood from it. It's not mentioned in any of the books that it's sunnah. Is that they used to go outside, and going outside to cover your head was considered to be an adab. So therefore, if you're going to go relieve yourself, then you should have your head covered. Otherwise, there doesn't seem to be any logic behind covering your head when you're relieving yourself. Okay. E.D. Akh, any good books to read alongside with Mukhtasar Quduri to clarify the contemporary relied upon opinion, especially for the later chapters? Buyut Sab. Yes, there is actually. You see this book I got here? It's called Al-Fiqh Al-Hanafi wa Adillatu. Al-Fiqh Al-Hanafi wa Adillatu by As'ad Saghurji. It's a contemporary book, and I always kind of tell people that when you're teaching Quduri or when you're studying Quduri, try to read that. It's in Arabic, and it's very good. Yeah, because the reason it's very good, it's got like lots of contemporary sort of like issues in the footnotes, and it kind of like clarifies a lot of things in Quduri which may be considered to be condensed. Right, so Quduri is not the best book to start off from when you're learning the Hanafi madhab, because Quduri is a very like important text, extremely important. And when people make this the first book that they study, what happens is they just kind of skim through it, and they just treat it like just an exercise book, you can say, to exercise there. But it's not supposed to be like. It's actually supposed to be a very, very important book to create faqahat inside of a person, ability to have fiqh. But anyway, if you do study it, then I would suggest reading, if you want a more contemporary book, Al-Fiqh Al-Hanafi wa Adillatuhu by Saghurji. You can get it online. It's online, it's available. Okay, next question. Do martyrs see Hur al-Ain before they die? According to some narrations, yes. Are the Ashab Badrain, I think you mean Ashab Badr, the best of the people after the prophets? So the people of Badr, so Imam Suyuti rahimahullah, he categorizes the Sahaba into 12 categories, and at the top he considers the four Khulafa, then the Ashara al-Bashara, and the Ashab al-Badr are a bit later on. Yeah, they're quite high up basically, so they're not immediately after the prophets. Okay, let's check another one out. This side. Have you ever appeared as a representative of Islam on the media? Would you ever consider this? No, I've never appeared as a representative, and I don't think I would. I'm not good at it. That's the thing. I would say people who come on the media should be good at it. So if you're not trained in how to present yourself on the media, if you're not trained in how to speak and all that kind of stuff, then I would suggest just leave it to the people who can. Because if you think about it, people who are non-Muslims, right, they put up people who have training in media, they behave in a certain way, they talk in a certain way, the language, the body, all these kind of things that they show, it's to kind of present something to the audience, right? So it's all of these things are very important, and sometimes we don't know. Media might come to us and ask us something, and we say in such a way that we don't realize the impact it's having on the audience, that we're saying something, and maybe in our minds we have Muslims, like normally when we speak, a lot of us have most of our interaction is with Muslims. So when we speak, the words that we say, the conversations that we have, they revolve around things Muslims understand. And if you speak in front of non-Muslims, you have to be very careful. You have to understand how they understand things. You put yourself in their shoes and explain deen in their way. So that's why I think it should be left to people who are skilled in that area. Have you guys ever seen that clip on YouTube about that brother Sarfraz having a debate with Richard Dawkins on radio? It's so funny. It's like this guy is just Richard Dawkins. Everyone knows how he is, but this guy, he just cracks you up because he clearly doesn't know who Richard Dawkins is. He doesn't know his area of expertise and what his conversation is and what his background is, and the guy is just coming out with all this kind of funny stuff. Okay, is Qawwali jaiz? So the issue with Qawwali is basically like the sort of cultural music that you find in Indian subcontinent that's considered to be religious. Yeah, it's got to do with like religious topics like the Prophet ﷺ or the love of Allah or Ali radiallahu anhu or Ahlul Bayt, etc. And it's basically like a na'at or nasheed, but there's some sort of music involved as well. Yeah, like some sort of musical instruments. So this was something that has existed in the Indian subcontinent for a while. I don't know how many hundreds of years it's been around. And this seems to have stemmed from this ikhtilaf amongst early scholars with regards to having some sort of background music when they were doing their dhikr. So just like nowadays you have people give talks and they have background nasheeds, and it boosts the effect that the nasheed has or the bayan kind of has. I don't know, you guys clearly have heard bayans, and you've heard in those with the nasheeds in the background and the kind of supposed to be iman boosters. Yeah, so it's basically that kind of thing. So many of them said that for Sufi, like kind of tazkiyah, dhikr kind of gatherings, if there's a little bit of music in the background and it boosts, so this is where it comes from. So there seems to be some sort of ikhtilaf regarding this, but what I would say is that just be cautious, be careful of this. When I was in Pakistan, I used to travel on bus very frequently. So W11 in Karachi, and in there they used to have Qawwali on every single morning. They used to have Surah Yasin, Surah Rahman in that order, and then Qawwali and sometimes Bollywood music. And in Muharram it was Qawwali all day, and in Ramadan Qawwali. Yeah, and I heard there was so much Qawwali. Yeah, Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan, all these guys, they're Qawwalis, and it was just like kind of interesting to listen to what they say. Like, some of the stuff they say is very interesting, but some of the stuff is very dubious, I would say. So anyway, like I said, there seems to be some sort of a difference of opinion on that kind of issue. Yeah. Okay. Is it impermissible or Islamically detested for a person to be in the same room as a dying person who is not a mahram, even when there are other family members present? I've never come across that. I don't think so. Is it permissible to fold trousers during salat? I have seen many do. So inside of salat, whilst you're praying salat, you shouldn't be folding anything. Yeah, it's disliked. Before salat, then possibly, yeah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he disliked people that used to do tashmir. Yeah, tashmir, which was to roll up in an unpresentable manner. Yeah, so you roll up your clothes, you tie your clothes in an unpresentable manner, or to stop yourself from dirtying your clothes on the floor. So he detests this because he said that this was going against the kind of honor you're showing Allah Ta'ala, right? So it's like you're not doing like full humbleness to Allah, servitude to Him. But otherwise, folding up nice and neatly before Salat, nothing wrong with it. Okay. Next question. Okay. Salams. The past few years of my life were magical in spirit and then in form. Then I had to move due to a jealous sister. She's made it clear she wants to see me fall, but I thought I would be protected if I kept my heart pure. Still, my soul felt in danger, and trapped where I landed. I picked up a bad habit I had put down. One by one, the magical places and people left my life, and I had a hallucination or meeting with a dark force which was happy to see me stuck. I have the sense that I have previously entered into blessed portal when got tested for or fell into a trap, and I am worried that if it was a test, I failed the test by sin, and then the portal closed and left me behind. It feels like I've shifted into another realm and it's prison here. Is there a way for me to get back to other place? Who could I talk to about such things? Thank you so much for your time. I know this is a fiqh related question. I have no idea. It sounds like some sci-fi thing this is. So, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea how you get to this different realm portal. Allah knows best. Maybe you need to see a specialist like a Raqi or someone. Yeah, someone who deals with jinn and maybe I don't know. Allah knows best. I have no idea of this. Maybe speak to your doctor. These kind of things, I think, if it's hallucinations, if it's this kind of thing, speak to your doctor about it. See what your doctors have to say. Let them do some checkups. Let them, try to help you out. Otherwise, I have no idea. Is it allowed to take pictures? Is it allowed to keep pictures of living things in the house? So taking pictures on the phone and these kind of things have been debated by scholars, contemporary scholars. Some of the scholars in the opinion that you're not allowed to keep pictures, absolutely, in any form or shape. Some of the scholars say that you're allowed to keep images as long as it's in a digital form. Some of the scholars say that images which are not going to be worshipped, which are just kept for family, memories, they're allowed. So there's a difference of opinion among scholars. I would say because cameras are now widespread now, there is permissibility to have this and to keep them in that form. Okay, that's the position that I follow. Okay. Did the Prophet ﷺ teach Tajweed in the structured manner that teaches the Tajweed? No, he didn't. Because it was their language. The reason we learn Tajweed is basically we want to, like some people, they want to learn someone's accent. Right, so if you've seen these actors where they play like an Englishman is playing like an American role, and so they basically have like elocution lessons where they have to learn to articulate themselves according to how the Americans speak. That's Tajweed, that is. So Tajweed is basically we're learning how to speak like Arabs. We're learning how the Sahaba's days they would read the Quran. That's all it is. Yeah, it's just Tajweed is a fancy name for how to train someone to speak in the accent that they would read the Quran in the days of Sahaba. That's what it is. Okay. Next. What if an Aqiqah was not ever done of a baby on the 7th day and the baby was an adult? Is the Aqiqah still due? So Aqiqah is when a baby is born on the 7th day. You shave the head, you weigh the hair, and the amount of the hair in weight you give of silver. So if the hair weighs, 10 grams or something, then that much you give of silver, right? And you also slaughter a goat as well. According to Hanafis, this is actually two opinions. Some say it's only mustahab, as in you're rewarded to do it, but there's no sin at all if you don't do it. It's not even necessary to do. Some have even said that this isn't even rewarding. It's just something, if you want to do it, it's fine. It won't be considered a bid'ah. So those are the two opinions. Hanafis don't really consider this to be necessary. So if you've done it, alhamdulillah. If you haven't done it, it doesn't matter. You won't be sinful for it. I know in our culture, a lot of people take it to be very serious. They think, that Aqiqah is like if the child's Aqiqah is not done, and then they go crazy, and so it's just some cultural sort of like a position on this, but it's not really a Hanafi fiqh. Okay. If a person is struggling with insomnia, trying to sort their sleep pattern, and they miss Fajr Salah, are they sinful? No, they won't be sinful. If it's a truly valid reason that they can't sleep properly, yeah, they won't be sinful. Because the Prophet ﷺ said that laysa fil nawmi tafrit, that there is no transgression in sleep. What there is transgression in is when a person he misses Salat without an excuse. Obviously, try to take some sort of measures to get yourself up in the morning. Maybe like open the curtain a bit so when the light comes through, it kind of wakes you up, or put the alarm on, or ask someone to wake you up. Okay, Bahruddin wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullah. Can we use aromatherapy during fasting, like vitamin vaporizers or lavender vaporizers? As long as you don't stand on top of it and inhale it in. As long as you don't inhale the vapor into your lungs, then it's okay. So if it's in the room, it's fine. But if you deliberately stand on top of it and like inhale it, then no. Is the niqab not considered sunnah according to Abu Hanifa and the original Hanafi school of? I don't know. Allah knows best. Okay, Ma'ad Mania, how do you learn dream interpretation, or is it natural from Allah? So it's learnt. There's some kind of like rules and things, little rules. I actually did a course on there a few months ago. Dream interpretation is a 4-hour course where I just taught like the basics of how it's like 40 rules of how dreams are interpreted. Which text do you recommend to read outside of studying Usul al-Shashi? So first of all, this is the kind of topics I like to talk about. Yeah. So first of all, when it comes to Usul al-Fiqh, I personally think you should never start with Usul al-Shashi, just like you should never start with Quduri. Do not start with Usul al-Shashi, because Usul al-Shashi is designed for a certain level student. In other words, a certain level student who has prerequisites, like studied quite a bit of fiqh, has already understood the terminology. Yeah. So Usul al-Shashi, I would say, so imagine there was like 10 steps of Usul fiqh. Usul al-Shashi I would put on step 3, 4, that kind of step 3, 4. So before that, I would suggest that you study some other form of usul as well. A very straightforward, easy to understand concepts of usul. Again, I've got an usul fiqh series, 28 lessons, and that I teach that first of all to my students. Then after that, I go into usul shashi. We cover the whole of usul shashi, and then after that, we go into Nur Anwar, and then after that, we go into usul sarakhsi. So, it's progressive. But if you want to study some extra things on the side, there are some texts that some people have written, like some contemporary, like Sheikh Akram Nadawi has written on Usul al-Fiqh as well, very small basic risala. Sheikh Mufti Saeed Ahmad Palampuri in India, he's also got a risala. It's in Arabic. You can read Al-Kamali's book on jurisprudence and Usul al-Fiqh as well, principles of fiqh. So those are good to read on the side as well, I would say. Okay, Muslim Night, Sheikh, may Allah give you shifa, ameen, jazakumullah khair. So I've got this cough for 3 weeks. I don't know why it's not going away. It just comes now and again. Okay, Assalamu alaikum Afraz Ali. Okay, so Salam, jazakallah khair for answering questions. So my best friend is in Pakistan and recently got engaged. We are different genders. We are close friends that support each other and can discuss anything. Now that he is engaged and once he's married, what are the rules of our relationship? So this kind of question is a good question, honest question that someone's asking. What I would say, look, again, like I said earlier on, there should be this understanding between men and women. There should be understanding of segregation. Again, that segregation is something which is differs from society to society. But we should understand that we cannot treat the opposite gender as we would treat our own gender in every way. Right? There has to be some limits that we wouldn't do or say to the other gender that we can say to our own gender. So we have to have these limits. So even if we call them friends, we still have to understand that Islamically, as Muslims, we have our limits. And now if obviously this guy is getting married, then his wife is involved, and so you should respect his wife as well. Yeah, so you respect his wife, and if you want to continue speaking with him or conversing with him, then at least you should ask his wife permission as well. Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Why is that the Deobandi ulama are against celebration of Mawlid, whereas majority of other scholars from the rest of the world acknowledge it and celebrate it? So first of all, the Deobandi scholars are not against Mawlid. I mean, in fact, in the book of Aqiqah, which is written by some of the scholars that were in Deoband and other affiliated madrasas in India, Al-Muhannad Al-Mufannad, in there, one of the points is actually that they celebrate Mawlid. In other words, they see Mawlid as jaiz, permissible, and even some situations praiseworthy as well. And I've mentioned this before, that Mawlid, there is nothing wrong with Mawlid at all, right? The problem that they had was that there were some groups that were considering Mawlid to be so important that if a person didn't do Mawlid and they didn't do it in a certain way on a certain particular date, then that person has shown disrespect to the Prophet ﷺ, and that person is not really a proper Muslim, etc. So that is wrong, guys. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. So when they was telling people that they accept Mawlid, but that the way that it's been done in certain parts of India and Pakistan, that it's wrong. That's what they were saying basically. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, if there are some Deobandis who are very, conservative and strict and want to take a position that no, absolutely, to sadd al-dhara'i, that to nip it at the bud and just to say that it's totally something that it's a bid'ah which we shouldn't be doing, that's their position, that is. But it's not reflective of, I would say, of the Deobandi position. And unfortunately, this term Deoband, it's used by lots and lots of people, and it's used for many reasons. Some people are using it to kind of show that they have some weight. Some people use it because they want to argue against other people. Some people use it simply because they studied in an institute which is affiliated to Deoband. So people have many different intentions by using this. I don't use this. I studied in a Deobandi madrasa in Pakistan. I've never ever called myself Deobandi. I've never used the term at the end of my name. I don't see the benefit of using this. Many of my teachers even said there's no need to use it. Mufti Taqi Usmani even said that he used to use it when he was young, but his father told him off and said, never use this name in your writings, that you're a Deobandi, like next to your name. So I mean, I don't understand why people are using this. And then I don't understand why people who are not Deobandi, they sort of kind of brush all people who are affiliated with Deoband with the same brush. I think that's unfair as well. I mean, the same could be said regarding Brailvis as well. Same could be said regarding Salafis as well. Same thing happens where not everyone's at the same shade. Not everyone's at the same level. There's a whole different spectrum. Okay, Salam, could you start Ibarat and translation videos for Usul al-Shashi and Kafiyah if that's possible? That would be really helpful. Yeah, I could start it, but then I have to stop other things. So the thing is, a lot of you guys are asking me suggestions, and Jazakallah khair, I make a note of these, a lot of these. But the thing is, in reality, the amount of work I'm doing at the moment, I'm actually saturated totally. So I work full time. That's my job. That's my separate job. That I work full time. I teach morning and I teach evening as well. And whenever I get spare time, I take out time and I try to make videos and I put them on YouTube. And that's why it's kind of like difficult for me to do everything. So slowly, inshallah, I try to stick to a schedule regime, and I can get through a lot of the videos that I want to do in the week. Yeah, so that's why, alhamdulillah, since last year I've been able to do. I started the Quduri again, and I remember I've done about the 1 year. I've done approximately 35 videos of Quduri. I've done I think it was about 10 videos of that Quranic in-depth wording, and so many other videos you can check on my YouTube channel. So alhamdulillah, I've covered a lot, and a lot of this is because you guys, mashallah, supporting the channel, the patrons, mashallah, with all the generous donations, and so alhamdulillah, it's a team effort. So I'll try to do these kind of videos, but the other thing is, when you guys give me suggestions, I actually think hard about it and think, is there any benefit in teaching this particular book? Because I know a lot of people are telling me to teach them a book because maybe they're studying in madrasa or they're teaching in a madrasa and they have a particular book that they want to study, but they're not understanding it in the madrasa. Maybe it's because it's not being taught properly, or maybe it's because it's not in the language that they understand, or some other things are missing. And some teachers want to teach as well, and maybe that's why they're asking. So I don't just teach a book simply because it's taught in a particular madrasa and I just want to kind of supplement those books. I teach it because I want to long term create a progressive syllabus. That's the whole aim, which may take 20-30 years. But at the end of it, even if I die, I'll have a whole syllabus of someone can just go onto the YouTube channel and they can go through the entire syllabus of Arabic and from scratch to expert level learn all of Arabic grammar and go through the entire Quran series and learn the entire translation of Quran, learn all the meanings of the words, learn tafsir of the Quran, become experts of the Quran from scratch. And the same with usul al-fiqh, usul al-hadith, fiqh, hadith, tafsir, aqidah. That's basically the aim. So it's like creating this whole database of information that someone or anyone around the world now can have free access to all this kind of stuff. That's the basic sort of, you can say, aim of that. Okay. Let's check out some. Sheikh, do you use iPad for note taking? If so, how good has your experience? Yes, I do. So I've got an iPad here. This is my iPad. Yeah. And I basically use this iPad a lot. Right. And alhamdulillah, I use something called Note. Yeah. So Note. I don't know if you guys use Note. So I have all these kind of files in there and it's very organized. That's one benefit of it. So at any moment I can just make notes. And the second is I have a whole book collection on here. So recently I've been going through a text. I'm going to be inshallah making a YouTube video on the Hanafi, or what all the Hanafis say regarding sleeping and breaking wudu. Right. So I've been going through some notes and I'm going to make a. But see, the good thing is I can actually annotate on these books, and wherever I've left off, I can close the iPad and open it again. And wherever I left off, it just opens it from there. So I have everything stored. And as long as something doesn't happen to the iPad, inshallah, then all my information is easily accessible, and it saves me a lot of time. And that's the main thing when you're doing lots of research. You don't want to have to remember where you were in the book, because that takes a lot of time as well. Wastes a lot of time. Okay, so anyway, so that's basically some of the things that I have with that. So yeah, I would suggest, if you're into that kind of stuff, I would suggest use it. And I always love finding new technology that I can implement in teaching the deen. And I truly believe that as Muslims, we have to be up to date. We have to be, at the highest level of being able to teach. The best pedagogy we should have. We should have the best syllabus. We should have the best teaching methods, teachers, right, to teach the deen. Because obviously the best thing in the entire world for us is the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So having the best teachers, having the best syllabus, having the best technology, cutting edge technology, all these things, I think Muslims, we need it. Definitely. Okay. All right, so let's have a little break here then. So inshallah we'll have a break, 5 minutes inshallah, and I will be back. Okay, so can you guys hear me? Ya Allah. Sound working? Yes, no? Alright, so let's start then. So question, I am not yet civilly married, but I had my nikah, alhamdulillah. Sometimes the government or your employer asks if you are single or unmarried, and what they mean is only the civil marriage. Is it allowed and okay in such a situation to say yes, I am single, in the sense that I am not civilly married? Yes, in that sense it's fine, because if it's for legal purposes, when they're going to ask you, are you married, as in are you legally married in this country, in that sense, a registered marriage, then yeah, you can say that. What kind of insurances are allowed and which are problematic? Can you give us some guidelines on how to identify which insurance is okay? So basically, no insurance is allowed. what we say is, when does insurance become permissible for a Muslim? So it becomes permissible if it's something which is necessary in that country. You have to get like house insurance, car insurance, or maybe even something like business insurance, and or if it's going to cause you extreme difficulty if you didn't have it, extreme difficulty, where something like maybe even boiler insurance, breakdown, car breakdown, stuff like that. Yeah, that's the kind of general rule of the thumb, you can say. Okay. Afraz Ali, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Arnaut Hanifij. There's a hadith saying that Allah Ta'ala personally created 4 things: His throne, Jannah, Adam, and the pen. Can you explain the expression He created personally? So generally, when these kind of statements are mentioned, it means that Allah created everything, but this is something which may have been created in a very unique way. Like the creation of this, like for example, like the creation of a tree might have gone through becoming a seed, and then before that it was something else, and before that it was something else. Like maybe it went through some process of change, evolution, you can say even. But when it came to, let's say for example, like the Arsh, or maybe Adam alayhi salam, this was something that Allah Ta'ala He created with His immense power compared to other things. Generally, that's what's understood. Allah knows best. Is it permissible to neuter a cat? Yes, it is. It's permissible to neuter a cat, especially if it's going to cause, because for a lot of people it's difficult to be able to, because we kind of usually keep cats as pets. In the past, they never necessarily kept them as pets. So to neuter them, because it's difficult to take care of their, then it's fine. And people used to castrate animals as well. It's fine. Cyrus von Leifia. I probably said your name wrong, and I probably said something totally different. It's probably some swear in some language. But anyway, wa alaikum assalam, my Pathan brother. Ahlan wa sahlan, sangaye roar. Arnaut, if the husband does not want his wife to work, is his wife obliged to listen to him? Technically, yes. Yeah, because the husband is the one that should be providing, and that is his right for his wife to be able to, listen to him in that sense. So the wife does not have to work, so that if she is told that she shouldn't work, then she should, oblige in that sense. But this may change from case to case as well, situation to situation. Assalam, is hugging 3 times on Eid a sunnah? No, it's not a sunnah. Hugging is not even a sunnah. The only time hugging is a sunnah is, it's not even a sunnah. Like the Hanafis say, you don't call it a sunnah, you call it something which is allowed. So for example, like when a person returns from a journey, something like that, there's no reward in hugging anyone. As in, will someone be rewarded if they hug someone after Eid? Or will someone be rewarded if they hug someone when they came back from a journey? Not necessarily, no. So when we say sunnah, the term sunnah according to Hanafis is when something was done by the Prophet ﷺ so many times that he hardly ever left it except a few times, or he mentioned excessive reward for it. So this is another long topic, which maybe be a good idea for me to make a video on what is sunnah according to Hanafis. Yeah, and that's a important one. Like for example, is wearing a thobe sunnah? Is having a topi on your head sunnah? Is wearing leather socks sunnah? Why now? Assalamu alaikum, Mufti Saab. How are you? Hope you're dying well. Yes, I'm dying well, mashallah. Just a few questions. Last time you said it's impermissible to buy shares in banks. What about Mizan Bank in Pakistan? It's in Islam. Oh yes, so I mentioned banks. When I said banks, what I said was conventional banks. As for a bank which is an Islamic bank, then there is scope in there. There's permissible, depending on exactly how the Islamic bank works, because you'd have to look at the board of scholars who agree with the functioning of the bank. So yeah, Mizan Bank, Mufti Taqi Usmani's, I think he oversees it, or his son or his nephew. Cyrus Van Lafay, why now? Mufti Taqi Usmani is on an advisory board. Yeah, I heard he wasn't anymore on the advisory board, but I don't know, Wallah alam. But yeah, that's why I said it's permissible. Any tips to memorize the Quran? Yes, just keep going over it time and time again. I'm not a Hafiz of the Quran, so I'm not an expert. Best to ask someone who's a Hafiz. Why now? The other question was about hadith that talk about people who die while they are taking qaras from others, and not paid it back. Does that apply to bank loans too? These days, all big businesses take loans. Yes, if a person has no intention of paying it back, they fall under the threat of the hadith. But if they had intention of paying it back, but they just died, then they don't fall under it. Okay. Next question from here. Is it okay for a normal Muslim to read the Quran and derive wisdoms and lessons, not ahkam, from it? Or does this count as making tafsir and is therefore haram for the layman? And if that's the case, what's the point of reading the Quran and reflecting upon it for the layman? Isn't then the Quran only a text for the scholars? May Allah reward you, Shaykh. Ameen. Okay, so there's three things. Okay, let me tell you. There's three things regarding the Quran, yeah? Number one is what we call tafsir. Tafsir of the Quran is where you have an ayah and then you go into the explanation of the ayah. What does the ayah mean? So this can only be done if someone has a good background understanding to the Arabic language and to the sciences of tafsir. Okay, so mufassirs do this. So for example, like Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. What's the tafsir of this? So if you took a linguistic meaning, it means indeed we gave you abundance. But what's the tafsir of this? So tafsir would require explaining what does a'tainaka, who is Allah speaking to here, what's the kawthar, what's the excessive abundance, what is it referring to, all of that. That's tafsir. Number two is ta'wil. Ta'wil is where you have a verse and you're trying, the verse can mean several things and you're trying to look at how that verse would be used in a particular context. In other words, which meaning would be more appropriate here. This is ta'wil. So it's very similar to tafsir, but that's called ta'wil. So for example, like, you know, in the Quran when Allah says that He is everywhere, huwa ma'akum, He is with you everywhere. What does that mean? Does He mean He's everywhere? So we do ta'wil here and we say no, His knowledge is with us and His power is with us. And then third is what is known as tadabbur, reflection of the Quran. So reflection of the Quran, this is something which simply when you read the Quran and something comes to your mind, like subhanallah, look what Allah says here. Allah talks about the rain and then you think about the rain and you think about how the rain comes down and how it affects some people and how it misses some people and how it, you know, sometimes harms people and benefits people. So you start thinking, this thinking that you call it deep thinking, this is called reflection. This is the third type, can be done by anyone can do it. But the first two can only be done by someone who's expert. Yeah. How shall a person deal with negative thoughts? Negative thoughts, positive thoughts. Be with positive people. Stay away from things that will create negativity. The main thing is try and do something which you feel proud about. Yeah. Help the poor. Help your family members. Help someone in your street. Helping other people. Supporting other people. Doing something which you enjoy. A sport or a hobby or whatever. These are the kind of things that you need to do to stay away from negativity. And yeah. Is it waswasa from shaitan to regret too much of the past and overthink the future? I wouldn't say it's negativity from shaitan all the time, but yes, shaitan does have this, like he's described as being someone who لِيَحْزُنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. He wants to upset Muslims. He wants to keep them in grief and sadness and sorrow. So yes, sometimes it can be, sometimes it can just be from other things as well. Some people are naturally more overthinkers. Like sometimes, you know, you might have a friend or someone and you text them and they overthink what you said and then they think you've said something wrong and then they'll think about it 2 or 3 days and then they stop talking to you, and then when you meet them and you say to them, oh, how's things? And they go, oh, how come you sent me this text? And you go, what text? And then you say, oh, how come you put a full stop at the end of your text? What does that mean? Are you not my friend anymore? So what is full stop? Full stop is a grammatical thing. Because one day I want to become more grammatical and that's it. So some people overthink things. They look too much between the lines. Yeah, like in Urdu they say lakir ka fakir. Yeah, some people are just like that. But you know, so yes, sometimes it can be from shaitan, not all the time. What are the qualities that a student of knowledge should have in his studies and his ibadat? So look, students of knowledge are human beings, end of the day, yeah? Ulama are human beings at the end of the day. They are no different from human beings, they're exactly the same. Yes, students of knowledge and ulama should try and present themselves in a better way. In other words, they should always try to be a bit more better in public than the average person. Like as in, morally they should be better, ethically they should be better. Not because they are the only ones that should do this. Everyone should do this. But because these are role models, people look up to them, just like celebrities on TV. We expect them to be better than, like, if you see a super celebrity on TV, you expect them to be humble. You expect them to, help poor and charity. And then when you find out that this particular celebrity is backbites people, and this particular celebrity is rude to, shopkeepers, and is arrogant, and has tantrums, then you kind of think, oh, what's this? You never expected it. You lose hope. And so this is not just for scholars and students of knowledge, because scholars and students of knowledge are, associated with ilm, knowledge, and therefore they are considered to be those people who should, first and foremostly be acting upon their ilm, practicing their knowledge and being good people. Yeah, so it's a kind of like that kind of situation. Yeah, if you know what I mean. All right. And this is why people who are on YouTube, people who are on these kind of things should have some sort of decorum, mannerisms inside their lives, because people look up to them. Whether you like it or not, people are going to look up to you if you are. Like, for example, people look up to me. I'm a normal human being. I have sports. I do my hobbies. I like eating certain types of food. I like, doing my own things. But certain things I don't do in public, because I know that maybe some people in public will consider this to be not befitting, not so appropriate. So I know, rather than kind of making other people kind of despondent or losing hope in students and ulama and teachers, it's best just to be on the safe side. Okay, let's look at what you guys say over here. Okay, we know Islamically a woman can't travel without a mahram, but what about living alone in a country? Is that allowed? Because in my culture, it's the other way around. Traveling alone is fine, but living alone. The issue regarding this whole traveling issue is that traveling without a mahram for a woman, the Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited it because it was the safety of the woman. Yeah, that traveling a long distance for a woman alone generally would result in them days of her being raped, of her being murdered, robbed, the usual kind of things. So this is why the Prophet, he even said it for men as well. He said one person should not travel, and 2 people should not travel, 3 people should travel. You should travel in a group. So this is why, this is the kind of thing. So therefore, it's all based upon safety, the safety of a woman. Well, he saw the safety of a woman in them days. So again, in other words, if a woman is living in a society and she can consider herself to be safe, just like if a woman is living in locally and she goes to the city centre, or she goes to her, friend's house, or she goes to work, and she's generally safe. 99.99% of women are safe in their localities, and a very few of them are really attacked. Societies change, norms change as well. I would say it would be permissible for a woman to live alone. However, she should be very careful depending on where she is around the world. In some places, it might not be safe for her. Someone could, attack her or harass her in some way. How's Catty? Catty is very good. I was just making myself some tea, and she was jumping on me, and she wanted to play with me. And I told her, no, you can't. I've got a live stream to do. And last time you came on live stream, you messed everything up. And so she got a bit sad. And then she basically jumped on me again. Yeah, so she doesn't listen. Salam, fun. These days I feel depressed as my friends left my school. Okay, these kind of things happen, fortunately. When I was studying as well, and sometimes students would leave, it does make you feel a bit low. But just try to keep going, keep contact with other friends, inshallah. Sometimes we wear men's clothes at home just for fun. That doesn't sound fun. Wearing men's clothes don't sound fun, bhai. Like jumpers, t-shirts, pajamas. Should that be okay, or does that count as imitating men? No, then that's fine. Imitating men would be when it becomes a norm in society outside in public, when this kind of thing happens. So that wouldn't be a problem. We wear socks. Men wear socks, women wear socks. So now you can't really kind of say you're going to have a woman's sock. Or, men wear hats, women wear hats, or gloves, etc. How many rings can we wear? As you're talking about men, how many rings can men wear? Generally from the Hanafis, it would only be allowed 1. What are the symptoms of evil eye and envy? It would generally be extreme fatigue, feeling some just sudden pains in the body, sudden headaches. This is what the scholars usually kind of mention for it. What should a person do if he graduates but does not wish to call the Maulana despite people calling him it out of respect, but he genuinely feels he doesn't deserve any title? You can't help that. I mean, if someone's going to call you Maulana and you don't want to be called Maulana, I mean, I don't want to be called Mufti or whatever. I just call you brother, I'm fine. I'm happy with it. But people will call you, you can't help it. People will just call you and they feel bad for not calling you that. So you just got to get used to it. And after a while, inshallah, you'll just not even realize people are calling you that. How important is interfaith work for ulama to go into? It's not very important. They don't have to go into it. But depending on where you live, I'd say some ulama, it might be more important for them to go into it. Maybe in Fard Kifaya than other ulama. Any books you recommend to learn about other religions? I don't really know too much about other religions. That's not my field of expertise. So I wouldn't really be able to say which books to read. There's other people out there on social media. Maybe you can ask them who are into other religions. If someone says to you, if you don't wear a jubbah, you will lose respect as a scholar when you graduate, do you have to always wear it in the presence of people, or is this the reason why you will lose respect is because normal people don't usually see ulama without jubbah, so it's better to sometimes wear a jubbah and sometimes not to wear it to teach the awam that as an alim you don't have to always wear it. So this is a kind of common thing. Unfortunately, some communities are very, very conservative, right? So this is generally my own personal experiences. What I found, for example, like Gujarati community are very conservative. When I go to, for example, a bayan in a Gujarati mosque, if I don't have my hat on my head, or if I don't maybe wear a jubbah or something, I know a lot of people will find it very uncomfortable. And that's just because the culture in the Gujarati community, very conservative generally. Not all Gujaratis, but ones that I've experienced in a lot of them. This would also maybe be something which is found in maybe some other communities, maybe people who are very sort of like Tablighi communities, families, who would be brought up in that kind of mindset that wearing the jubbah or the sarwal kameez is necessary and you're not allowed to wear any other clothing, especially for ulama as well. So the thing is, you have to get a balance. If a person was living in Pakistan, they'd never have this problem, right? Maybe recently, in the last 10, 20, 30 years, where now it's becoming this norm for people in Pakistan to wear, Western clothes. But in the past, it wasn't really an issue. Now, when you've come to the UK, in fact, there are even scholars like Mulana Ashraf Ali Tanwi who have said for a normal person in the UK, a Muslim, to wear a suit or a tie or these kind of things is totally permissible, because that's the clothing of the society and they're not imitating them. It's just a normal clothing. You're not going out your way to imitate them. So what I would say is, look, you just look in your society, you look at how much people you can impact, and you look at the kind of normal things. I, for example, wear jubbahs. I usually, when I teach, I wear jubbah because that's, just to kind of keep the sort of like uniform kind of thing. And when I give talks, but generally, at home or if I'm going somewhere, I just wear trousers, shirt or jumper, t-shirt, whatever. Yeah, so it's a kind of depends. I don't know who's asking this question. So it all depends upon your community. I know a guy who was a Maulana, and he goes, at home, he didn't have his hat on, and he answered the door, and it was his uncle, and his uncle told him off, you're a Maulana, and you don't have your hat on your head, what kind of ilm have you learnt? And so, what does ilm have to do with wearing your hat on your head? Okay, is it bad for an alim or student of knowledge to have short back and sides? If so, is blended haircut okay for them? So, I've mentioned this before about the qaza. The blended haircuts and these kind of things, short back and sides, nothing wrong with them. I have no issue with them. But the thing again is going back to the same thing we said about the jubbah issue. If you're going to be teaching and you're either going to be trying to show people it's permissible, and that actually might have an adverse effect. It might kind of ostracize you in your community, so people will not want to listen to you. Now you don't want that to happen at the same time as well, so you want a balance. So even though your personal fiqh opinion might be that, look, it's totally fine, but the thing is, long term, if people are not going to benefit from you, and this is the area you want to go into giving talks and you want to teach, then you have to really think to yourself that, what, do I really want to go this far where I want to try to prove a point, but at the same time compromise, other things in the community. So it's just one of those balanced kind of things, I would say. Is there a difference between tasawwuf, tazkiyah and ihsan, or do they all mean the same thing? So, I mean, this is a kind of very long topic, but it's generally this. The main thing is, look, you want to become a person who is always has the presence of Allah in their heart. That's the main thing you want to do. You want to remember Allah. You have this presence of Allah in your heart. This is why they train people in tasawwuf, they train people in tazkiyah, right? So you have this continuous awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the whole idea of repetitive dhikr, is that you have this awareness. So whichever one it is, that's the aim. So it's not like some people, what they do is they forget the aims and objectives and they take the means. Imagine you're going to London. The aim is to get to London. However you get there, that's the whole point. Now, if you're going on the motorway and you say, no, I have to go on the motorway is the most important thing, and you make your whole life about being on the motorway, you've forgotten what the whole purpose is. So if someone went through an A road, or someone went by a helicopter, or someone went by an aeroplane, and you keep thinking, no, you have to go by motorway, and all those people who go on a different path to get to London, that person is wrong and they're not doing the right way. That's where you get the problems. Okay, let's check these out. Assalamu alaikum. Imtiaz, if a person is in debt and doesn't have the ability to pay back all his debts, is he allowed to take out life insurance which guarantees? No, he's not allowed to. No, he can't. After he passes away, his debts will be cleared. No, he can't take insurance. How will we know when the Dajjal arrives? I don't know. Allah knows best. Yeah, you'll know. I think it's going to be a very, Netflix will make series 2. They'll probably be telling us. If the Dajjal is a human being that has been kept on an island for hundreds of years, how can it be that he will be a young man when he... Again, I don't believe that he's a human being. I believe that he's a form of creature. He's a creature that we don't know about. And being on the island, I mentioned this last week as well. So I don't really want to go into these kind of questions. What Ustaz think of the Christian belief that Mr. Trump of USA president being the Dajjal Antichrist? Allahu Alam. I don't know. Well, he doesn't have one eye yet. So, and I don't think he's not very clever. He seems a bit dumb. What is tasawwuf? I think I answered that one. Why now? Have you tried keeping mulati in your mouth? Is that licorice? And just chewing on it. My ummi and this cough like you, and it helped her a lot. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, I'll try that. There's some sweets you can get that taste like that. I actually got some. Yeah, I'll try that one. What is the position of Hanafi on completely shaving the mustache, or should one only trim it to keep it neat? Difference of opinion. Some of the Hanafis say that you should trim it, you should shave it. Some of the Hanafis say that no, you should trim it. Different opinion. Both are fine. Kamran, is there any benefit of playing Quran recitation in the house? I personally think no, unless you're going to listen to it. Quran recitation is there to be listened to. Yeah, not to it's not like a fragrance in the house that you just light it and it fragrances the house. Okay. If a Salafi Imam does masa on cotton socks, is it permissible for Hanafis to pray behind them? I would say yes. I know some Hanafis are very strict on this and they say no. But I would say there is a valid ikhtilaf regarding wiping over these kind of socks, so it'll be fine. If a husband and wife are due to divorce, does the father still have to provide for the children? Yes, he should provide for the children. It's his duty. He is the father, and he's responsible for them. Is it permissible to have a nose piercing even if you don't wear niqab? Yes, it's permissible to have nose piercing. So these kind of things. Nose piercings and earrings, these kind of things are permissible for men. Is a woman allowed to cut her hair above her shoulders? I mentioned that already. Yeah. Is a woman allowed to have a fringe? Yes, so as I said, if it's like it's a normal kind of haircut, yes, it will be permissible. And as long as the whole hair doesn't go up to that level, it's just the front part. It's a small area. If you get cupping done and your aura is exposed, even though it's the same gender, is that allowed? So if it's for medical reasons and you have to expose the aura, then it's allowed. If the full body wax laser allowed if you expose aura? No, full body wax is not allowed. It's not a medical need, and there's ways around it. Unless a person is extremely ill, some scholars have said that, if someone else has to do it for them, then it's allowed, but they can't look at the area. Salam Mufti, I would like to know if it's allowed in Islam for a female to wear anklets. It would be done in a halal manner, meaning only at home. Yes, it's allowed for them to wear it. Is it permissible to clean up the hair underneath the eyebrows, so not actually shaping them trim? Yes, you can do that. I mentioned this last time as well. It's about the thinning of the eyebrows, which is an issue. When banks charge a transaction fee when making a transfer, is that classed as interest? No, it's not. It's classed as service charge. Okay, alhamdulillah. All of these questions are now finished. Now, let me just finish on your questions now. Okay, so Salamu alaikum Super Muhammad 1990, mashallah. Can we watch Dragon Ball Super? That's there. A couple of shirk references. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong in watching something that is shirk as long as it doesn't affect your belief and aqidah. Yeah, reading books as well. There are a couple of references. Is wearing Nike halal? Yes, you can wear Nike. Can you, for Google user, thank you for your time with the sci-fi question. I know it sounded nuts. I didn't know who to speak to about it as advised. I will follow up with a therapist. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, so I mean, that's a strange one. Never heard someone actually say that. It just sounds like someone who's like, when you watch a sci-fi film and then you think you're in the sci-fi. Yeah, sound a bit like Star Wars there. Yeah, but I would say speak to a therapist, speak to a doctor, see what they have to say. It could be something which we don't understand, and speak to a Raqi after that maybe. Okay. When banks are charged in transactions fees for making transfers, is that classed as interest? No, it's not. It's classed as service charges. So if a bank charges you for a service, that's allowed. Are you subscribed to PewDiePie? No, I'm not. I don't understand why people watch him. It's just, I don't understand it's just very random the things he says. And I mean, the people that I am subscribed to, I'm subscribed to, Unbox Therapy. Anyone watch that? Unbox Therapy. Subscribe to that. I'm subscribed to a lot of these kind of fact kind of things. Yeah. So yeah, I'm subscribed to one of those. Not PewDiePie. Who else? Can't think of anyone else. Would you get offended if someone called you cuz? No, not absolutely. I wouldn't get offended if someone called me Liaqat. Calling me Liaqat is totally fine. Brother. I mean, if I'm teaching, I would expect the students to call me at least brother or ustaz. Yeah, because there has to be some level of acknowledgement of authority in a class setting. But otherwise, I don't mind. Why now? MashaAllah, the question answer sessions flow so well. MashaAllah, with your du'as and with your suggestion, obviously. Series 2. Yeah. Muhsab, we finished early today. Please do a book review or share your favorite ash'ar with us. Anything good you read recently. These are hadith saying, okay, I'll do that inshallah. There's a hadith saying that Allah Ta'ala personally created 4 things. I think I answered that one. Yeah. I answered that one earlier. Okay, so all question finish all question. Let's see if there's anything else there. Right, mashallah, you guys finished early today. Alhamdulillah. I don't know, is it some barakah day today? Ya Allah. Okay, so yeah, I don't know what I've answered that as well. I've answered that one as well. I think you missed when I answered it. So you'll have to rewind back later on. Do you prefer the clay mug or Roots of Knowledge? So the Roots of Knowledge one mug, basically, I haven't used it yet. So this basically is going to be a mug which I'm going to be sending to people. This is a Roots of Knowledge mug. This is a pen. As you can see, it's got Roots of Knowledge written there. Yeah. And there's a Roots of Knowledge book here. And I'm thinking of, I don't know, maybe I might do some t-shirts later. Some t-shirts. Yeah, what do you think? Some t-shirts and some, merch that these YouTubers do. What do you guys think of merch? Yeah, some good merch. Okay, so I prefer clay cup. I think it's a psychological thing, but it psychologically works for me. Is lowering gaze only mentioned for men or women too, because it's deemed a certain way if a man looks? Yes, for both. Yeah, so lowering gaze for lustful looks. If a person has lust after someone, they should lower their gaze. Can I ask a question? Yes, you can. My suggestions, yes. 2 actually, yes, ask the 2. Hassan, more, just wanted to say thank you. Your Arabic lessons help. May Allah reward you. Ameen, Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much. And inshallah, more to come, hopefully, inshallah. As long as I'm alive and as long as you guys are out there watching them. No, Ali, this is a question and answer video. Actually, that's a good idea, you know. I can have different styled ones in it. So I got these. So these, yeah. These, when my niece and nephew come, they always like grabbing these. And even Catty likes grabbing this. And just like fighting it. So maybe make some of these. Yeah. Is wearing Nike halal because it's the name of us? No, see that this whole issue is, can you say Thursday? Because Thursday means Thursday, which is a mythological god, like they say. So yes, you can say it, and you can have that because it's not intended as a shirk. Yeah, it's not intended as shirk. So at one point it might have been in history somewhere, but no one really worships Nike, so it's fine. I know there's some people on social media. See, the thing is, a lot of people, Muslims, unfortunately, are very, very naive, very, very easily manipulated. When someone on YouTube who's got a big subscribing, if they were to come out with something new you've never heard of and say, all right, guys, this is haram, you know why? Because of this, and everyone thinks, right, he must be right. Why is he must be right? Because he's got a big following. So that's not the case, right? Someone has a big following. That does not mean, but unfortunately, the masses, and in our case, Muslims, are very easily, I mean, like, you know, and sometimes sends those kind of images around memes, or they send around like a Islamic sort of, apparently Islamic sort of message, and everyone forwards it without thinking about it. This is an example of it. People just pass on things or accept things without really verifying them. So it's good that, you know, we have question and answer, so you can ask. But this is just for future. I play Spider-Man PS4, but I have problems since Spider-Man is trying to copy New York, it being a kafir city. It has a church buildings. Is it to haram? Because no, it's fine. Play, bye. I want to play with you, bro. Yeah, I want to play. How do you play Spider-Man? You have to then make ROK hijabs for sisters. Yeah, why not? Yeah, rock hijabs, rock niqabs. Yeah, rock baby clothes. You should try Suduri cough medicine. You can get it from local shops. Suduri, oh, that sounds like proper sadr, chest. What's the best way to teach Aqidah at-Tahawi? So the best way to teach Aqidah at-Tahawi, I would say, is don't teach Aqidah at-Tahawi at the beginning. Teach it later on at the end. If you want to understand Aqidah properly, what you have to do is you have to understand what the Quran says first of all. Study the Aqidah in the Quran properly. Study Quran properly. Once you study the Quran and you know exactly what the Quran says, then you understand how the Sahaba understood the deen. Unfortunately, what happens is people go directly into, when they're studying Aqidah, they go into later written books. And they have no understanding. 90% of the context of Aqidah, they don't know. And they're just like learning these kind of points one by one. And they're memorizing them. And they're trying to fit them on without context. Which is a very dangerous thing for many people. Because it confuses a lot of them. So they start to see the world in a very sort of like, you know, artificial rules sort of way. So what you have to do first of all to study the Quran. Study the Quran properly. All the Aqidah. Why was the shirk wrong that Allah mentioned in the Quran? Why were the Christians, why were they wrong? Why did people in the past deviate? What were the problems? Once you understand that, then I would say start to study the books of Aqidah. But before you study the books of Aqidah, study the different groups that developed and emerged in the beginning of Islam. Yeah, political groups and theological groups that developed and how it impacted the society. And then thirdly, study Aqidah Tahawiyah. That's what I would say. The doll can have sayings when he presses a button, suggest phrase, no girls allowed. Don't be an idiot. I'm not here to answer your questions. Like, comment, subscribe to Roots of Knowledge. Excellent. No, oh, you missed one. You missed one. My name is Liaquat Zaman. Welcome to Roots of Knowledge. Okay, Kamran, Asian shops, that is. Oh yeah, Asian shops. I'm going to have to go on Pak Supermarket. What do you think of Muhammad Hijab's content? Is it beneficial? I do watch him sometimes. You know, the thing is, I'm not too much a debater kind of guy. I don't really like debates. And you guys know that on my social media. I hardly respond to people on social media. If I write something and someone disagrees with me, I won't respond to them. I won't say to them, you're right or whatever. I'll just ignore it. I'm not into debating. It just wastes too much time. And eventually, most of the debates are always semantic anyway. So I don't really kind of like it when he kind of sometimes debates in certain things debating. When he had a debate with that David Woods. And the way he kind of came across, I didn't really kind of think it was appropriate. So what's your take on the inheritance verse and the factions contained not Quran not adding up to one? I don't understand. Inheritance are not supposed to add up to one. See, that's the you got to. I've done a whole series on inheritance. I don't know if you've seen it. Why would Hanafi scholars agree that it's permissible to pray behind the Shafi Imam, for instance, even with the possibility that his wudu broke from bleeding? There's an ikhtilaf in this. There's actually 4 opinions amongst the Hanafis of how we pray behind different madhabs. Yeah, and I personally take the opinion that it's totally permissible to pray behind any madhab. Absolutely. But they are more strict, divided, and praying behind an imam who does masa on socks. I have no idea. I don't think it's a Hanafi issue. I think it's a select group of people who have a certain conservative, strict sort of like approach. So I don't think it's everyone. Do you only eat HMC places? No. I eat at any place which I feel comfortable that they are halal. Yeah. Or how do you decide where to go to eat? Because I understand the UK there's a stunning issue. Yeah, as long as I'm comfortable with them being people who are upright people and I haven't seen them do anything wrong, then I'll eat from them. If they say it's halal. Have you ever been tabligh? Yes, I have. I've been 40 days. I went in 1999, I think, yeah. 1999. 40 days, 1999. Yeah, this was like, some of you guys probably weren't even born then. If you have S. Hussein Ibn Muhtasab, please make Instagram account. It will really help. Yes, I have Instagram account, but it's a Roots of Knowledge one. I don't have my personal one. S. Hussein, if you have to pray outside and it's very muddy, can you pray in your shoes? Yes, you can. Yes, it's fine. Ali, can you help a doctor make robotic arms for people with no limbs? And he says, why repair humans when we can make them better or beyond? Something along these lines is haram. No, it's not haram. Doesn't mean it's haram, because they don't mean that it's like a robotic arm is never better than a human arm. As in, a human arm can regenerate itself. A human arm is so very extremely sophisticated. So they don't mean that. What they mean is better, as in they can make an arm which can do certain things that are better than this arm. That's fine, totally fine. Also, how should I approach video games in terms of halal haram since it's virtual? As long as the video games don't have any nudity in there. And yeah, it's fine. Once you go into a debate with someone, give them some mithai in return. Job done, everyone's happy. Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Give them diabetes. Excellent thinking, bro. Yeah, give them diabetes and that's it. Would you go to Tabligh again? Let's go for 40 days again, inshallah. I would love to go, but unfortunately, I don't have time. Yeah, I don't have the time to go, but I would love to go. Last one about raising the dead in video games or coming back from the dead. Yes, it's permissible because it's all made up. It's all fiction. So fiction is fine. Okay, so let's have a look at a book. So I'm going to show you guys a book. This is a book I was reading recently. So this is Munyatul Fattah ala Maraqi al-Falah. So Maraqi al-Falah is a commentary by Al-Imam Ash-Shurumbulali, or Nur al-Idah, which is the book by Shurumbulali. So So this book itself is one of the matans, the texts of one of the texts of Hanafi, like later Hanafi texts, right? Nur al-Idah. Then the commentaries were written on this, like one of the commentaries, Maraqi al-Falah, Shurun Bulali's. And then you have these footnotes that are written by Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj. Yeah, Salah Abul Hajj is a contemporary Hanafi in Jordan at the moment, and he's a very well known researcher, yeah, Hanafi fiqh. So yeah, Shurun Bulali, he wrote Maraqi al-Falah. Okay, so this book is very, very good, and the reason it's very good is because this book contains lots of like research that you're not going to find, or you are going to find, but scattered in different places. Yeah, so this kind of work, I think it's very important for Hanafis, especially students who want to study the Hanafi fiqh, who want to read about this. Yeah, so I would say read this, yeah, study it, and it's actually got a very good muqaddimah, and the muqaddimah is actually 200, and it's about 260 pages, about 260 pages of tahqiq, yeah, muqaddimah, very, very important things about the Hanafi madhab. So I think it's a very, yes, you can get the translation of Nur al-Idah. I don't think Maraqi al-Falah is a translation, might be, I don't know, but you can't get this book. Yeah, this book you can't get it. So this is actually gifted to me by a very close friend of mine, and it's 3 volumes. He actually studied under Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj, and he gifted this to me. So it's very, very, you can see my notes have kind of got these markers in there as well. Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, maybe I might make some videos on this, on the kind of thing, because Shurun Bulali is a very interesting figure in Hanafi fiqh, because he comes out with a lot of his own opinions, which other Hanafis don't seem to kind of be too keen on. Yeah, so I can maybe make a video on that. Okay, and for why now, I'm gonna look for a poem that I've recently read, and so I can just check one out and see which one I've read recently. Okay, let's look at Al-Mutanabbi. Yeah, so Al-Mutanabbi is a good poet. Okay, so this is a poem. It's a very short one. It's 4 lines, so I'll just say, I'll read it. It's called Laysa fi dahri shay'un yuhmadu. There's nothing in life that deserves praise. Right, so he says, أما الفراق فإنه ما أحد هو توأمي لو أن بينا يولد ولقد علمنا أننا سنطيعه لما علمنا أننا لا نخلد وإذا الجياد أبا البهي نقلننا عنكم فأردأ ما ركبت الأجود من خص بالذم الفراق فإنني من لا يرى في الدهر شيئا يحمد. That's the poem. If you understood it, mashallah. But if you didn't understand it, then I'll explain. He says, Amma al-firaq. So basically what's happened is he has had to separate from his best friend. Right? The guy's name was Abul Bahi. So he's got to go away from Abul Bahi. And like they're meeting, like, like when you're seeing someone off at the airport, departure, and like you're seeing them and then you really miss them and you're going to separate from them. So he said this like on the spot, off the cuff, impromptu. He said this poem, 4 lines. So he said, Amma al-firaq, as for separation, فَإِنَّهُ مَا أَحَدُ. This is the thing that I'm used to. In other words, this is the thing that I experience in life time and time again. I'm always having to separate from beloved ones. هُوَ تَوْأَمِي. It's my twin. لَوْ أَنَّ بَيْنًا يُولَدُ. If only separation could be given birth. In other words, if separation could be given birth to, I would consider separation to be my twin. أما الفراق فإنه ما أعهد هو توأمي لو أن بينا يولد ولقد علمنا أننا سنطيعه. And indeed, by Allah, علمنا أننا سنطيعه. We definitely know that we will be obeying separation. We have to all obey separation. In other words, either now or when we die. We have to separate from our beloved ones one time or the other. وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْنَا أَنَّنَا سَنُطِيعُهُ لَمَّا عَلِمْنَا أَنَّنَا لَا نَخْلُدُ. When we realized that we're not going to be immortals, we're not going to be living forever. When we realized this, we knew that we will have to succumb to separation one day. وَإِذَا الْجِيَادُ أَبَا الْبَهِيِّ نَقَلْنَنَا. He says, O Abul Jiyad, O Abul Bahi, when the fast horses, when the stallions, horses, نَقَلْنَنَا, they transported us, ankum, away from you, meaning when like I left you and I got on my horse and I started to ride on these amazing stallions. فَأَرْدَأُ مَا رَكِبْتُ الْأَجْوَدُ. The worst things that I can ever ride is an ajwad horse. In other words, jiyad is the plural of ajwad. So the worst things that I could ride are the ajwad horses. In other words, like ajwad horses in them days were considered to be like Rolls Royces, Ferraris. So he's saying that if I, because it's made me separate from you, it has no value anymore. Like the separation has made it lost all its value. من خس بالذم الفراق فإنني. Whoever specifies dispraise regarding separation, whoever says that firaq, separation, is the thing that is uniquely dispraised, فإنني من لا يرى في الدهر شيء يحمد. Then indeed, I do not see anything in life that deserves to be praised. So in other words, if separation is the thing that deserves all the dispraise, all the criticisms, then I believe that there is nothing in life that deserves praise, because separation, it intoxicates everything. It spoils everything. Okay, that's it. That's his point, basically. Okay, so are you from Tablighi family? No, I'm not. He wrote Nul Ilah, black and gold look beautiful. Black and gold. I don't understand. Do you think Qiyamah is near? It's always near. Always near. What's the best book on Hayd and Nifas in the Hanafi madhab? I mean, the most detailed one is Birkawi's manual. Al-Birkawi's manual. So Imam Al-Birkawi, who wrote on Hayd and Nifas. That's the best one. You can get an English translation as well. Can you get an English translation? Not the book that I showed you. Do you lend your books? No. Do you think Qiyamah is near? Yes. Ali, when answering call of nature, the water from the toilet bowl splashes back. It's not easy to avoid. You can ignore it. Hanafi says it's fine. You can ignore it. It's fine, even if it goes in your body. I understand quite a bit. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Voltage. Do you think Qiyamah is near? I think you asked that about 3 times now. Yeah. I think it's near, like you're near. Beautiful. Black and gold. The book. Oh, black and gold style. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Okay, guys. All the questions have been answered now, and I think there's nothing left really. So I'm just gonna see if there's anything else on this that anyone's asked. Okay, no. Okay, people who take 3 talaqs as one, what is their evidence? So there's a few evidences that they use. The main sort of evidence that they use is a narration that comes in Sahih Bukhari and others, where it says that talaq used to be 1 at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and at the time of Abu Bakr, and in a bit of the time of Umar, and then it became 3. That's the main sort of narration that they use. And if you want to read more about this, there's a book written by Sheikh Zayed Al-Kawthari called Al-Ishfaq ala Ahkam al-Talaq. It goes into great detail about this masala. Alright, so anyway, Jazakumullah khair, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video and live stream. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And mashallah, you guys stayed. A lot of you guys stayed all the way to the end. So jazakumullah khair. So what do you guys think of the Kanz videos? Do you guys manage to check them out? Yeah, so I got a lot of positive feedback from people, and so I'm thinking of continuing this. But I've now added with your suggestions. I've added the Arabic to the video. Is there anything else that you think I should add in there? Nike is the name of a Greek false god. Is it allowed to wear it? Yes, you're allowed to wear it, but I think you asked that question twice. Yes, you can wear it. Okay, can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? I think I just got a little... My screen has disappeared. I don't know if you guys can still see. Wa iyyakum, you're welcome. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Do you do these weekly? Yes, I try to do weekly, alhamdulillah. So who has come here the first time? Who's the first time that they come here? Is there anyone that has come on this the first time this week? Let me know if it is, because every time, mashallah, you guys, because I've seen some new names here I haven't seen before. If you were to give 3 talaqs in one sitting, would the divorce take place? Yes, it would take place. First time, MU7861, mashallah, MU7861. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Alright guys, jazakallah khair. Thank you very much guys, and I will see you guys next time, inshallah. And remember, questions, if you want to ask questions in the week, then you can ask on where? curiouscat.me. It's not coming up. curiouscat.me/good-salman82. Yes, we can ask. What time does it start? 9 o'clock UK time. 9 p.m. UK time. Assalamu alaikum RZ. Musab, is there any good course, like a yearly course for young adults, Islamic studies, Arabic course? I'm also the first time. So are you asking for online courses or on-site courses? If one travels less than 92 kilometers from his watan iqama, does he do qasr? Yeah, so if he travels outside of that, then he is he does his qasr. His iqama is broken. Yeah, iqama breaks. Okay, so I think that's over now. You guys are just watching my face. Yeah, just waiting for me to do something. Yeah, mashallah, mashallah. So I've got a new phone, guys, and on this phone I'm able to make these. I don't know if you guys have seen them. I'm able to actually write on the screen. Yeah, so I can make a video or some like GIF, and I can write on the screen. And I'm thinking of ideas of how I can use that, yeah, to help maybe teaching as well. So give me some ideas, what you guys think. So basically I can show myself, I can speak, and I can write on the screen, so you can see on the screen things writing as you see me. So I don't know if you've checked out my Twitter, or if you've, I don't know, I don't think I put it onto the Roots of Knowledge. Yeah, but I might put it onto there just for you guys to see it. So let me know ideas. I'm trying to think of some ideas. I've got some ideas in my head at the moment, but I just want to see some other ideas, innovative ways of teaching certain things. You know, maybe like quick bites of ilm. Online, yeah. Online, I think there are a few. It depends. Have you studied anything before? I think Mufti Abdul Rahman Mangera does something online, and there's other few institutes. It depends what you want to study as well. Online, I mean, you can just follow the videos I put up on my YouTube channel. It's not like a structured sort of course. You have to do it in your own time. If you want to learn Arabic, I'll put a video up, guys, on my YouTube channel today of learning the 17 lessons, pre-recorded ones. So if you guys want to check that out, there's quite a few people interested in that, where you can do it at your own pace. You can learn the Arabic language, in 17 lessons. And if you're following the Twitter as well, I put up these quizzes now and again, and you can see the students that are doing the course with us. Some of them in 5 lessons, 6 lessons, 7 lessons can start translating into Arabic, and mashallah, it's very, very good. Not translating from Arabic to English, translating into Arabic. So imagine that. So they can translate from Arabic to English, and then translating from English to Arabic. So that's the 17 lessons. So people who want to learn Arabic from scratch, so they know how to read Arabic, but they want to know how to understand it, that course is perfect for them, especially for those who want to prepare for Ramadan, and maybe this Ramadan they want to have a new experience with the Quran. It'd be ideal for them. And there's like a separate sisters group which is run by sister TAs, Baji Amina, she runs that. And there's a brothers group as well, separate brothers group that's got some brother TAs as well. And the homeworks are checked, and so it's something that you can have a look at. Yeah, alhamdulillah. So anyway, Jazakallah. And also after you finish the 17 lessons, there's also follow-up lessons as well. There's follow-up courses that you can do. So these are things to think about. If you're interested, check out my YouTube videos, right? And actually, let me just put it up. I think I'll put it up. That might be a good idea, because some of you, maybe you can forward it, share it. Yeah, excellent. That'll be the 17 lessons has a course fee. It's £50. 17 lessons. You can contact the Roots of Knowledge Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Yeah, it's on all of them, and the details are actually in the description. So I'll put it here, and the details are in the description of this video I'm putting up. Yeah, so if you check that link out, the details are in there. Alright, so Jazakumullah khair, guys. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys all next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.